Hello everyone, this is Douglas Kim, and this week we'll do something slightly different from what I normally do. This week I'll be interviewing an amazing artist. Please welcome him, the great Leobo. Ahem. Good morning, and welcome to this new interview show thing that I'm doing.
Yay! Good morning.
Are you doing alright, mister?
Sure, I'm very happy.
That's great. First of all, I wanted to thank you very much for accepting my invitation to come here and do this interview.
The pleasure is all mine.
So, have you ever been interviewed before?
Nope, this is my first time, and this is very exciting. Well, I had job interviews, but thanks God, this is pretty different. Heh.
Well, I have never interviewed anyone before as well, so cheers for new experiences.
I'm sure this will come out great.
Why, thank you. But once again, welcome to the show, Leobo. Can I call you that, or do you have a preferred nickname you'd rather me call you?
Oh, Leobo is okay.
So tell me, where does that nickname comes from? One would guess it's a mix between two words. Is that right?
Yep, you're right. Leobo comes from león, which is Spanish for lion, and lobo, which is Spanish for wolf. So, león plus lobo equals Leobo. It's a bit silly.
So, Leobo, how old are you?
I'm 30. I turned 30 on the 18th of October.
Oh, fun. My birthday is in October as well.
Oh, cool.
So, by now I imagine a lot of people are wondering, so this is mostly a question for the fans. Red or blue?
Wow, I love both. For example, I love blue for clothing, and red for hair. But if I have to choose, red is more interesting, since it's a hot color.
Hence your red mane, I take it. Although blue man lions are yet to become a thing, as far as I can tell.
Actually, I dyed my hair blue some months ago. I used to have my hair dyed red when I was a teenager. Nowadays I turned to brown again. Since blue is awesome but too flamboyant.
That actually sounds pretty awesome. And I believe that the most important thing is how you feel about it.
Yeah, I love the experience.
Have you felt any different from dyeing it red from dyeing it blue?
Well, red looks more natural. When I had my hair dyed blue, people used to stare at me in the street.
True. Taking the numbers of people that dye their hair red, I'm more used myself to seeing red hairs around. And on a side note, are you familiar with Chloe, a character in a game called Life is Strange?
I've seen some screen caps of her. I have yet to play that game.
And she also has blue hair, and she's all energetic and full of life. She's a very interesting character. I really do recommend you play that game, mostly for the experience of it.
Nice. I've heard very good reviews of that game. And well, cute girl with blue hair is a plus.
Definitely. Okay, so now I won't be able to not think of you and think of blue hair and energetic people. So let's move forward, shall we?
Sure.
So before we talk about art and art-related things, let's meet the person behind the art. Do you consider yourself a morning person or a night person? There are so many people whose brains only wakes up after noon, or that doesn't work at all during the morning.
Heh. Well, I have a good discipline and I wake up early every day, because I have to do many chores and work in the morning. However, I feel more inspired at night. I think night is better for art. Heh.
I'm sure a lot of artists out there will agree with that statement of yours. Something in the mystery that is the nighttime really draws in the creativity in our mind. But do you think you would perform as well in art if you could no longer work during the night? Do you think your creativity would take a hit? Or would you still be able to create normally if you only worked on art during daytime? Or during the mornings and afternoon, that is?
Tough question. Let me think. Since art is my job, I'm forced to stay inspired during the day. So yeah, even if I cannot draw at night, my creativity is trained to keep working. But this is not an easy thing. I've been working since I was 20 years old. I used to work and study at the same time. I think that was when I learned discipline. But I don't lie if I tell you that some days I shut down. Some days I just forget it all, and do what I want and how I want.
So you truly are a man of discipline. And I'm really glad you do that. Forcing your mind without a break can be very impairing for your health over the time. And that's truly admirable. I congratulate you, sir.
Thanks, but it's not a big deal. I mean, all the freelancers have to do that.
True. One very good advice I heard for artists is to depend only on your discipline. Motivation and inspiration can produce wonderful things, but they only come ever so seldomly, and you can't depend on it. Discipline, however, once built, lasts a lifetime, so it's way more dependable.
I agree 100% with that.
Aha, you heard it, folks, straight from the mouth of the great artist that is Leobo. Discipline yourselves.
Ha ha ha. The good point is that sometimes I start working on a picture and I'm not inspired, but when I've been working around 30 minutes I start to feel inspired. Because I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
I take it you haven't suffered an art block in years then, right?
That's what I was gonna say. Sometimes I feel frustrated when I can't draw something properly. In that case it's better to change the picture, draw another thing, and come back later with a fresh mind.
I also agree with that.
To find inspiration is not to push yourself until frustration.
Now, that's a very good quote. As other people would say, it's to tackle the problem from a whole different perspective.
That's it.
I'm glad we agree on that. And one thing you mentioned really piqued my curiosity. What were you studying while you worked? Have you always worked with art? Is your current day job related to art in any way?
When I turned 20, I started to work in a factory, doing boring and frustrating work. At the same time, I started to study graphic design.
Did you felt like graphic design was your thing back then?
I like graphic design, but what I really like is illustration. However, graphic design is very important to me, since I learned a lot from image composition, color theory, marketing, etc.
Did you got to finish the course and graduated from it?
It was a 2-year course. I finished it and I started studying another 2-year course in illustration. Since both courses are pretty similar, I had just a few subjects in the course.
Do you feel like you have learned things in these courses that you would not have learned by yourself? Or that would take way too long to learn if you weren't taught that, if you had to learn it by yourself?
Personally, I think an illustrator doesn't need to go to an art school to be a great artist. Art schools help a bit, but that's all. From my experience, I could tell that I learned to use traditional media like charcoal and watercolors. But the most important thing was that the course educated my eyes. Let me explain that.
Oh sure, now I want to hear that too.
As a graphic designer, I have to know how to create a picture that works in composition, color scheme, visual weight. You don't need a course to learn that, but it was a pleasure to have a teacher that taught me that. Even in the comics, I learned page composition. You can learn that just by reading good comics. But yes, you really need to know how to manage the panels of a page to make the comic flow.
I see, and what a great subject you have brought up. First of all, I have to agree with you. Learning by yourself can be a lonesome and very long road, but it's still doable. But for younger artists out there, do you recommend they pursue education in art? Like college courses or even online classes?
Of course, I did free courses. You don't need those fancy expensive courses to learn that.
I'm sure a lot of them will breathe in peace now, knowing that you don't need to power thousands into higher education if they want to be artists. But you talked just now about comics, and I was wanting to bring that up. You recently began a series of comics called What a Twist, is that right?
Correct.
What was it that made you begin that comic? Many artists feel like they need to tell a story that's just too long and too complex to portray in a single image, so they make a sequence of images, hence a comic.
Yay, I wanted to tell a story. I love to work on commissions, but that comic was a great opportunity to work on personal art. And I wanted to do a different comic, with complex and real personalities and situations, trying to avoid commonly used stereotypes in sex.
Yes, one thing I wanted to point out is that since you're not working for anyone, you have complete artistic freedom over it.
Yes, after I left the factory, I started to work as freelancer. In 2009 I moved, and I started doing commissions, because I needed an extra money to pay my bills. And well, drawing furry art is pretty fun, and I love it. Unfortunately, due to the recession, I've lost many customers. So, I've started to work almost exclusively for the furry fandom.
Yeah, the economic crisis is affecting pretty much everyone out there.
Yep, I'm still doing job interviews, but it's hard to get a job nowadays.
Do you feel like working for individuals in the furry fandom is very different from working for non-furry customers?
Yeah, just because the conversations I have with my commissioners are more friendly. However, in my job, I have to be very professional and sometimes a bit serious. However, I like to work face to face sometimes.
Just a random question I'd like to throw in here. Forgive me if I'm being too indelicate or something, but Have you ever lost a customer in those face-to-face meetings because of your blue hair? Or do you feel it actually helped you land the job?
Well, to be honest, I colored my hair blue because I lost my freelance customers. When I had customers, I used to wear decent hair and good clothes. I've been with blue hair for 3 months, the time I've been working full-time for the furry fandom.
Oh, so the blue hair was actually because of the losses in work.
Oh, my bad, not because. It's just like, if I want to color my hair blue, this is the moment.
Oh, I see. So if things go back to normal and you have many freelance customers again, you have to undye your hair and wear suits all over again, right?
In fact, my hair is brown again. Unfortunately, I don't need to wear suits, just good-looking clothes.
Ah, that's much better than wearing suits.
I had my time with being crazy with my blue hair, but now it's time to find a job again. My current appearance is pretty normal and common right now.
Well, I wish you all the luck in the world with that. Hopefully it won't take long until you find your new job.
Thank you a lot.
You're welcome. So, from now on, for now, aside from looking for a new job, you're dedicating almost all of your time to working on furry-related projects, right?
Yep, I pay my bills with the money I earn with furry art. When I go shopping, I used to think, hey, I've paid this bread with the money of the porn. Ha ha ha, joking here.
Oh, don't worry, porn is one of the biggest and, honest I may add, industries out there. But nevertheless, some artists don't like to think or even talk about this, but I think it's a big point to bring forward. Fame. Do you feel like you're a famous artist in the furry community?
Oh, not at all. I have like 8,000 watchers. This is not too much for an artist. However, watchers is not the only way to measure popularity. Of course, I think interactions are more important.
Yeah, definitely. There are countless other people who follow you through other means and whatnot. And what do you mean interactions? Like communicating with these followers or what?
Yeah, for example, there are some artists with less watchers than me, but I see their drawings in Tumblr, forums, social media, all around. People talk a lot of those artists. I think real popularity is that. A person who moves the masses.
Oh, indeed. I see what you mean.
But I have the luck to have great followers. People who consider me their friend. And this is an honor for me. So well, the point is, what is more important, quality or quantity? I prefer quality.
You do raise a good point there. I'm sure those people who befriend you see the person behind the art, and that's great for an artist, not to be judged by what they draw, but by who they are. But one thing I'd like to know your opinion about. The more followers you have, the higher the chances are of attracting new customers who are willing to pay for your art. That is hardly a debatable point. But would you rather have a handful of paying customers who are nice people, or a lot of paying customers but who are really nasty people? They will pay for your work, but it won't be a pleasurable experience dealing with them. How do you feel about that?
Well, I like to find a balance. When I upload my pictures, I always try to find a good hour when people are in FA to watch it. So, since this is my job, I always try to have new watchers. However, that's the reason I open special commissions sometimes. Sometimes I like to work for people I like, nice people who deserve a special deal. I used to offer commissions with a discount for those people, but it's not fair if I forget the rest of the commissioners. Everybody should have the same opportunity to have a commission from me. So I like to work for everybody, but sometimes I like to take my time and reward my best customers and friends.
Oh, that's incredibly awesome of you.
Thanks.
And I guess that so long as it doesn't affect your finances or your situation with other commissioners, it's all good, right?
I think so.
And I can relate to that. It is far more pleasuring to draw things you like and for people you feel more comfortable with. And talking about people, I wanted to ask some other questions, this time not directly related to art, but to you, the person behind the art. From what I could gather, you are from Spain, right?
Yep.
Are you from there or do you hail from somewhere else?
Oh, I was born in Spain as well.
Oh, nice. I'd like to exchange thoughts on local experiences, but maybe some other time.
Haha, okay.
And this is slightly grim, but considering last year events, the closeness to France, and the recent terrorist events that happened there, Does it bothers you, the closeness, or worries you in any way?
Totally, I'm very concerned about terrorism. What happened in France was terrible. And the attack against Charlie Hebdo, I can't forget that.
I must confess, living in a country with quite a lot of freedom of speech, religious freedom, and being an ocean away, it feels like a whole different world for me. But to you and many other Europeans, it must be very awful.
And the point that what happened in France was terrible, but every day a lot of people in Syria are killed.
Yes, we must never forget both sides of every event ever happens.
Oh no, I mean, sometimes looks like if terrorism happens far away from your country, oh it's okay, I don't care. But when terrorism happens in front of your house, only then people react.
Yeah, it never happens to you until it does, as some people would say. I do hope conflicts there diminish and hopefully end, but in the meanwhile, keep your hopes up and everything will be fine. I know it might not mean a lot, but I don't feel like I'm in the right to say much about it. Either way, back to Spain. Do you feel like life there is good or easy? Many young people have problems accessing higher education nowadays. Do you feel it was hard for you, or wasn't it?
Spain is a good place to live, good weather, good people. The problem is, due to the recession, it's hard to find a job here.
Ah yeah, I was going to mention jobs too.
So many people are getting poor, and this is so sad. Many people are traveling abroad for a job opportunity. Our government increased the taxes. Well, when the economy recovers, all will be fine again.
Do you feel like traveling abroad for job opportunities yourself?
I was thinking on that. This was the main reason I started studying English last year. However, due to my family situation, I'll try to find a job here.
Ah yeah. Indeed, moving to a better place also means leaving a lot of good things and people behind.
Totally.
But hang in there, crises always end.
You're right. Heh.
So, 500 years ago, Spaniards were great conquerors. They colonized a lot of places in America and gave humanity a lot of new perspective about many things. In short, Spaniards were great explorers of the New World. So, you being Spanish, is there anything you feel like exploring or conquering yourself? Be it a new skill or even new experiences?
Sure, do tourism. It opens your mind. I would like to visit other countries in the future. I would love to visit Los Angeles or New York, but I have a thing for Asia too, so I would like to visit Japan as well. But I'll have to wait for that. My economy is not good nowadays.
Also, a lot of languages to learn if you are going to Asia, right?
Yeah, well, I think I'll be fine if I use English.
Oh yeah, thankfully English is becoming quite the international barrier breaker. How are you finding English, by the way? Do you feel like it's easy to learn?
Yeah, I mean, learning a language is like learning art. You just need practice. I practice a lot every day thanks to the furry fandom.
Truer words couldn't be spoken about it.
But yeah, my English level is not really good.
I beg to disagree. I'm finding it very understandable so far. Despite being a thing here or there, your English is pretty good actually.
Haha, thanks.
And back to the furry fandom. Your persona, Leobo, is a lion and a wolf, is that right?
Yep.
And how did you settle on that?
Well, I love how lions and wolves look. And both are social creatures, very protective with their beloved ones.
Oh yeah, that is very true. So you mixed them up, right?
Yeah, I couldn't decide for one, so I mixed both.
That's fair. Do you feel like those traits, protective and social, do they represent you well?
Yeah, well, between the huge amount of flaws I have, I think I'm protective and social.
Flaws like what? Don't tell me you're afraid of spiders. I joke, of course.
Haha, no, I used to think too much. I worry about many things easily.
So it's more of an anxiety issue, right?
Well, it's not really anxiety. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, once we figured that out, we might come back to it.
Sure.
But I have a couple more questions I'd like to ask. Mostly because we're running out of time, so I'll cut them short. Recently, you began a Patreon campaign.
Yes.
Do you feel like it's working? Is it performing the way you expected it would?
Well, Patreon is not very profitable for me right now. However, I'm still drawing the comic thanks to my patrons, so I'm feeling very grateful.
Do you feel like it might become something bigger in the future? Nowadays there are various artists who left their day job to focus only on Patreon. Do you aim for that? Do you think that's not how you want things to be in your life?
I wouldn't like to focus my day job on Patreon. It would be perfect to earn a salary based on donations for doing personal projects, but this is impossible for me right now. Furthermore, I think I should do more things than Patreon, like commissions. I can't base my economy in a single thing, even in the case that my Patreon were very profitable.
Yeah, one thing about Patreon is that your income is based on other people's expenses on you, which they can cut out at any time without prior warnings, and that must be a very scary thought.
Yes, my patrons give me the opportunity to do personal job, but my economy should not be based on that.
That is rather wise. There are exceptions of course, but I believe that you are right in doing that.
However, I have to think about my patrons too. They are donating their money. I have to do a good job for them.
Ah yeah, they are almost literally depositing their hopes on you. Actually, you're dedicating your Patreon campaign to your current comic. Do you have plans to continue your Patreon campaign once the comic's done?
If people enjoy my comic and demands more, it would be a pleasure for me to continue with more stories. I have many. But my patrons have the last word.
You heard it folks, demand more from him and you shall have it. Two last things. Was there any particular series, books, movies, comics, or even a creator who inspired your works? Someone or something you really look up to?
I like to think that my work is inspired by Disney, anime, and European comic artists. However, furry art is a big influence for me too. About comics, I love Black Sad.
I hear the artist and the writer for Black Sad are both from Spain as well. Is that right?
Yep, but he lives in France nowadays.
Having some kind of national hero must be a great booster to motivation and confidence, right?
Totally. I would like to meet him someday.
I promise to share for you if you promise to tell me how it all went.
Deal.
Great. Last thing, you were motivated by various influences, I believe. Now, there are people, fans I'd say, who look up to you nowadays. People who like your art and enjoy what you are doing. And maybe want to be just like you are now, someday. Do you have any words of wisdom and advice to give to those fans or pretty much any artist that is beginning their career?
Oh sure, wow, what a responsibility. Haha, well, I'm not good at giving advice, but if you want to become an illustrator, then do illustrations. I try to avoid the word artist, because art is a very subjective thing. Practice, practice and practice. Don't worry about art style, just take a paper and a pencil and draw whatever you see. Use references to understand how the world works. If you want to learn anatomy, read about the muscles. Draw a nude model, draw a dog.
Definitely dogs.
Hehe, identify the muscles. The same for illumination. You don't need to learn Photoshop at first instance. You can create gradients with color pencils. The key is, learn from reality, see how light works. Then, when you feel prepared, try to draw in digital media. The media doesn't matter. Then try different styles, realistic, cartoonish. Then, you'll find the style where you feel comfortable.
Those are great advices, I might say. To quote another artist, the word is your teacher, just go out there and draw.
Haha, that's it.
And like you said yourself, practice, practice and practice.
And, may I add, patience.
Oh yes, patience is also something everyone needs to keep in mind, especially artists. No one becomes a Picasso overnight.
Yay.
It will take a long time to reach new levels. I'm really glad you added that up. Leobo, I can't thank you enough for giving me the pleasure of interviewing you. It actually pains me to think that I might have to cut part of it to cram all this conversation we had into a 20-minute thing. But thank you very much.
You are a great interviewer. I had so much fun.
Why, thank you. But still, I hope you had a great time in here, and I actually look forward to talking to you again in the very near future.
Haha, thank you too. Adios. Y gracias.
Well, so that was it everyone. This was my interview with Leobo, this great artist who is doing a comic, and well, you should go check the links in the description. Check his art, he's amazing and he deserves all the support, being the amazing person that he is and considering me the right to do this interview. So if you like this interview, let me know. I might actually get another artist to come here and talk about stuff. If you think this interview was too long, or you'd rather hear me talking about the comic and not interview someone, well, let me know as well. I'll see what I can do. Or if you have an artist that you'd like to hear me interview in the future, pester them or me, and we'll see if we can get in contact with each other and do an interview thing in the future. This was Douglas Kim, and thank you for watching and listening.